Hello, happy believers. It says in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 21, "You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons. You cannot share in the Lord's table and the table of demons." In Matthew chapter 12, verse 30, Jesus says, "Anyone who isn't with me opposes me, and anyone who isn't working with me is actually working against me." We can see here in these two miracles how the Pharisees were against Jesus and for what reason. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe and share. The man with the paralyzed hand in Matthew chapter 12 verses 9 to 14 shows how the Pharisees were against Jesus and were blinded to his goodness, kindness and healing power. It did not occur to them that Jesus had performed a wonderful miracle, healing this man's paralyzed hand, which would enhance his life, as it was a life-changing experience. The only recognition Jesus got was, "What are you doing?" or "What do you think you're doing?" It was against the law to heal on the Sabbath. The Pharisees put the law before the well-being of the people. Jesus always puts people first. They saw nothing good or amazing in this miracle, only it would help in their plans to kill Jesus. Jesus left that place and went to a synagogue where there was a man who had a paralyzed hand. Some people were there who wanted to accuse Jesus of doing wrong, so they asked him, "Is it against our law to heal on the Sabbath?" Jesus answered, "What if one of you had a sheep, and it falls into a deep hole on the Sabbath? Will you not take hold of it and lift it out? And a human being is worth much more than a sheep. So then, our law does allow us to help someone on the Sabbath." Then he said to the man with the paralyzed hand, "Stretch out your hand." He stretched it out and it became well again, just like the other one. Then the Pharisees left and made plans to kill Jesus. In John chapter 5, verses 1 to 18, Jesus came across the same situation as he healed a man at the pool. After this, Jesus went to Jerusalem for a religious festival near the sheep gate in Jerusalem. There is a pool with 5 porches. In Hebrew, it is called Bethzatha. A large crowd of sick people were lying on the porches: the blind, the lame, and the paralyzed. A man was there who had been sick for 38 years. Jesus saw him lying there, and he knew that the man had been sick for such a long time. So he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" The sick man answered, "Sir, I don't have anyone here to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up. While I am trying to get in, somebody else gets there first." Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat and walk." Immediately the man got well. He picked up his mat and started walking. The day this happened was a Sabbath, so the Jewish authorities told the man who had been healed, "This is a Sabbath, and it is against our law for you to carry your mat." He answered, "The man who made me well told me to pick up my mat and walk." They asked him, "Who is the man who told you to do this?" But the man who had been healed did not know who Jesus was, for there was a crowd in that place, and Jesus had slipped away. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said, "Listen, You are well now, so stop sinning, or something worse may happen to you." Then the man left and told the Jewish authorities that it was Jesus who had healed him. So they began to persecute Jesus because he had done this healing on a Sabbath. Reflection. This man, only known as a man, was not known by his name, possibly because he was of no importance. People were used to seeing him at the pool, and nobody helped to put him in the pool for healing. Jesus passes by, notices the man. He does not call him by name, but knows about him. As Jesus says, he was sick for a very long time, in fact, for 38 years. Jesus asks the man, "Do you want to get well?" This is a very interesting question, and seems there can only be one answer. Yes, of course I want to get well. We can all ask ourselves the same question. Do I want to get well? Some of us don't. Some of us do not like change. We are used to the support system around us. We might be happier to stay in our comfort zone. There might be benefits in being a victim. Too much hard work involved. Fear of change, etc., etc. Wellness can be mental, physical, emotional, or spiritual. Why would we not want healing? Jesus knows the huge change that would come about in this man's life due to his healing. He gave the man a choice. What goodness and kindness Jesus shows the man. The man said, "Sir, I don't have anyone here to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up. While I am trying to get in, somebody else gets there first." The man states the impossibility of his situation, therefore the impossibility of a healing taking place. Straight away, Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat and walk." Immediately the man got well. He picked up his mat and started walking. Another interesting fact here is that the man didn't know Jesus. He did not know who had healed him. It was only when Jesus found the man in the temple that the man then knew who it was. Afterwards, Jesus found him in the temple and said, "Listen, you are well now, so stop sinning, or something worse may happen to you." After Jesus healed people, he usually said, "Go and sin no more," as in John chapter 8, verse 11. Maybe what he said to the man is an answer to why go and sin no more. As we all know, to a greater or lesser degree, when we backslide after conquering something, we can become more deeply intertwined in it. So it makes sense when we stop something to remain stopped and rely on God's grace to maintain our good quality of life. Straight away, Jesus was in trouble again, as the day this happened was a Sabbath. So the Jewish authorities told the man who had been healed, "This is a Sabbath, and it is against our law for you to carry your mat." So there you have a man who had been sick for 38 years, always sitting by the pool, who was now well and walking around, but they were blinded to the enormity of the miracle that had taken place. They were keener to have him unwell than break the law. Then the man left and told the Jewish authorities that it was Jesus who had healed him. So they began to persecute Jesus because he had done this healing on a Sabbath. There is so much in these happenings, so much we can identify with, There are many questions we can ask ourselves. Where are we in these happenings? Do we look, think, and act outside the box? Jesus did. Please like, subscribe, and share so we can all live our wonderful Catholic faith together in all its richness. Next painting, very, very soon. Watch this space. Until then, remember, Jesus heals us.